This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
Well, this was unexpected. So basically on Sunday I had kind of done a video just like saying, well, DSP have been quiet for a while, and then it turns out that they've been screwing away on this Nano Cortex update, which I think is one of the more significant updates that I can recall from any modeling type device or profiling, whatever you want to call it. Only that, it was free, Kemper. But yeah, I think when people first saw that this was like a slightly pared back device when the Nano was first released, I think there were some people that were quite cynical. I was not one of these, actually. I've been championing the Nano Cortex as being Neural's best product, actually, for a while. So I decided that I should buy another one because I sold the last one because I wasn't using it. But I think this update is giving it some fresh sort of stuff to talk about again. And yes, let's jump into it. I'm going to do an intro now, then we'll go and talk about what's new in it. I'm going to just put together a couple of things and try out the new stuff. And I guess a question as well now, does this mean, like, of the big modelling companies that this is now the next best thing next to the HX Stomp? I think maybe, quite possibly, yes. Question mark. Let's follow up on that at some other point.
So we need to do the firmware update, downloading the latest firmware. Hopefully it won't take forever. So this is step one. I think we're done. I think it's done. Right, so now I'm just going to load in from my own, this is gone from my memory, but let's try and find this one here. Good. So, assigned to capture slot. Gate is now there or not. The pre-effects, we can have overdrive. Let's go for Chief OD1. And then post effects, we could have modulation. So we've got a few different types here.
then delays, we've got a few different options again now. Circular delay, this is one that I was interested in. Done. And then we've got new reverbs as well. For instance, modulated has been brought across. This is quite a nice one. Equally, if I decide in this case I want a compressor in here, effects 2. Yeah, that's really changed things, I think, quite significantly. Save this as ambient. I can go into my presets here and assign this one, show all presets. So I want this one to be assigned to footswitch 1. Make a slight change. So what I'll do for this change is go away wife, turn off the modulation, how do I do like save as? Save as. So let's go back here, save, then go save as, and then I could go into my presets, and this one could be on preset assigned to footswitch here, and that effective. I could turn off Univibe here. That becomes a switch for the Univibe, and I could even go so far as to that and change the compressor for a drive in this kind of way, like this. Or even a fuzz. Or a blues driver. You know, whatever you decide. Right, save, preset save successfully. Then I'll go in here, footswitch assignments, and this one here assigned to footswitch, right footswitch, and then I can go between. Really pretty straightforward stuff, and I think does open things up quite considerably. Let me know your thoughts on the update in the comments. Cheers. So this is jump into, here's one element which has remained the same, which I'm expecting at some point that this could be changed. So you see here neural captures. So at the moment, this is the one little area that the Nano Cortex is, I think, slightly lacking in that there's a whole world of neural captures that are factory captures. Like you've got thousands of those from the Quad Cortex, and there's only 25 of these that you've got access to as a Nano Cortex owner. So that's one area, because at the moment you're therefore kind of left to the community to kind of make your captures or do your own. So that's the only thing that I'm expecting at some point to sort of become unlocked, I think, hopefully. Let's look at what's been added. So, much like I asked for, well, more than what I asked for, to be honest with you, they've kind of unlocked things in quite an interesting way. So the input gate is now before the effects, and therefore no longer takes up a block. There's an IR global bypass, which then means that you can just kind of do that in the settings menu and run that into your FRFR. So that's cool. We've got 3 new EQs. I don't think we got a global EQ, which is one of the things that I asked for and I think would be useful for other people. So that's just still one area. You've got like a global gate now. Well, not quite global, but you know what I mean. I do think a global EQ would be worthwhile. There's 3 new EQs, a parametric, a low high cut and a graphic. 3 new utilities, so you've got utility gate, volume and doubler. And there's 8 new compressors, so you've got a Universal Audio 1176, SSL bus, VCA comp, octacomp, and then stereo versions of those as well. There's 4 new wahs, so Buddha wah, bass wah, Crybaby, and the Clyde. Filter effects, so you've got a Love Tone meatball and an envelope filter, so you can do your John Mayer stuff or your Tom Misch stuff if you really want. The guitar overdrive, so this is a huge addition that was definitely one thing that I really wanted them to do. So they've added a full tone OCD, the Boss OD250, a Rat, the BB preamp, the Boss OD1, which actually sounds surprisingly great as a boost, kind of a little bit transparency. The Boss Blues Driver 2, now Line 6 still haven't done a blues driver, so Neural DSP take the the lead there. The Dunlop Fuzz Face, an RC booster, and a tube screamer. Then we got 2 new bass overdrives, so you got the Dark Glass B3K and the Exotic bass booster. More modulation, so before there was just the Dimension chorus, right? And now there's also the flanger, the Dream chorus, which I think comes from John Petrucci's thing, right? I think 2290 as well, the John Petrucci one. The Boss CE2 Waza, then the MXR Phase 95 and an MXR Univibe. So that could be useful for some guys doing a bit more of the bluesy type thing, right? Then 5 new delay effects. So we've got tape delay now, digital delay, dual delay, and dual reverse delay and circular delay. So that's an interesting addition. So that's kind of going to do your Steve Lukather type stuff or your Landau type stuff. Excited to try that. And then we've got 5 new reverb effects. We've got room, hall, modulated, ambience and cave, as well as the mind hall that was already there. So really cool stuff. And each device is designed to work in specific slots within the signal chain. So you can put your EQ anywhere. You can put your compressor, wah, filters and overdrives, as well as utility, in 2 pre-effect slots. So you could have, for instance, a compressor and an overdrive, or a wah and an overdrive. And then you've got some devices which are available in pre-effect slot 1 only. So if you're using your pitch, then you won't be able to use 2 of these other things, right? And then we've also got devices that are only available in post-effect slots, which are our compressors, the stereo compressors this is, and then your doubler and your modulations. So you've effectively, this one becomes a doubler or a modulation slot or a compressor. Your tape delay, so this is a delay block effectively now, right? The one just before the end, the post-effect slot 2, and post-effect slot 3 is going to be a reverb still. So that's, I think, really, really cool, a really useful update. I think, been chatting to David Beebe about this, probably the most significant update that Neural DSP have ever done to a piece of hardware. I don't remember the Quad Cortex ever getting something that was like this impressive. I mean, maybe their Looper, that was a pretty big update when they brought that out, but in terms of really just turning a device's functionality on its head, and from being something which is a little bit niche but did a really cool job, I thought, personally, I was kind of championing it for a while, they've now just unlocked this in such a useful way that I think the potential for this device is now much greater, in my opinion.